What a woman daydreams about during sex and what she actually tells you she wants are often two very different things. And here's the part most men don't realize. Her hidden fantasies are far more common than you think. This discussion is educational, grounded in sexual psychology and neuroscience, and intended for adults in committed or consensual relationships. Today, we're lifting the curtain on what women quietly desire in the bedroom, but rarely say out loud. Some of these wants are subtle, some are bold, and yes, a few might surprise you. I'll also be grounding everything we talk about in psychology and neuroscience, not gossip or guesswork. So buckle up, because along the way, I'll be sharing insights that are fun, revealing, and occasionally jaw-dropping. Let's get honest about what women secretly want from you sexually. I'm Dr. Julia Rhodes, a men's sex therapist, and for over 10 years, I've worked closely with couples, helping men understand female desire, sexual psychology, and emotional intimacy. Here's the roadmap for today's conversation. First, I'll walk you through 10 sexual desires many women have but hesitate to request, and why social conditioning keeps these fantasies locked away. Next, we'll look at the brain and body science behind these desires, how dopamine, endorphins, and stress reduction all play a role. And finally, we'll talk about why emotional safety is the key that unlocks honesty, deeper connection, and better sex. Miss that last part, and she'll never tell you the truth about what she wants. That's where most men go wrong. So subscribe now, because everything you're about to hear is rooted in female sexual psychology, neuroscience research, and real clinical experience. Let's begin. One of the most common desires women have, yet rarely voice, is BDSM. This includes elements of dominance, submission, restraint, or control, and at its core, it's not about pain. It's about trust, surrender, and intentional power exchange. Research indicates that nearly half of women have fantasized about being restrained in some way. What surprises many people is that studies consistently show BDSM participants report lower stress levels and stronger communication skills than couples who don't engage in it. Clear boundaries, explicit consent, and ongoing check-ins build trust, and that trust often spills into everyday life. So why don't women ask for it? Because from an early age, women are taught to be agreeable, restrained, and sexually modest. Wanting to be dominated or restrained can feel like a betrayal of that conditioning. She worries you'll judge her, see her differently, or think she's too much. But the fantasy is far more mainstream than most men realize. Another desire women often keep private is exhibitionism, the excitement of being seen, watched, or noticed during intimate moments. Roughly 1/3 of women report finding this arousing. Interestingly, research links exhibitionistic tendencies with higher confidence and self-esteem. It's not just about thrill, it's about visibility, validation, and feeling powerful in one's sexuality. Women hesitate to voice this because they've been taught that desire should be hidden, not displayed. Being watched feels risky, not because it's rare, but because it feels vulnerable. Next is a fantasy that often shocks men when they hear it: cuckolding, or imagining watching their partner with someone else. About 33% of women admit to having thought about this at least once. When consensual and clearly defined, research suggests that scenarios like this can actually strengthen communication and trust because they require radical honesty, emotional regulation, and firm boundaries. Women don't bring this up because it clashes with the expectation that they should be jealous or possessive. Admitting the fantasy can feel like admitting weakness, or worse, disinterest, even when that isn't the case. Another common but quiet desire is sensory deprivation. This might involve blindfolds or limiting one sense so the others become more intense. Studies show that removing sensory input can significantly increase dopamine release, amplifying pleasure and focus. Over 40% of women express interest in some form of this, but asking for it requires deep trust. She has to believe you'll protect her vulnerability, respect her boundaries, and remain emotionally present. And that's a big ask. Then there's messy or wet play, sometimes called splashing. Using textures like oils, food, or liquids engages the senses in a playful, primal way. Research into sensory play shows it stimulates both pleasure and creativity. Women often suppress this desire because it feels silly, immature, or too porn-like. But playfulness is a powerful aphrodisiac. Another fantasy women rarely voice is role-playing. This isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about novelty, imagination, and exploring power dynamics in a safe, controlled environment. Psychology shows that role play allows people to explore different sides of desire without threatening their real-world identity. Then there's nurturing or caretaking dynamics, sometimes referred to as age play. This doesn't always involve sex. For many women, it's about feeling protected, safe, and emotionally held. Research shows couples often feel more bonded after exploring these dynamics because they encourage vulnerability and trust. Women stay silent about this because they fear being misunderstood or judged. Another common but misunderstood desire involves feet. About 1 in 7 people report some level of foot-related interest. Neuroscience offers an explanation. The brain regions that process sensation in the feet sit directly beside those associated with sexual arousal. Next is light impact play, such as gentle spanking. This isn't about harm. Mild impact increases blood flow, releases endorphins, and heightens arousal. Women often avoid requesting it because they fear it'll be mistaken for wanting abuse. And finally, the most important desire of all. Women want to feel deeply, intensely desired. Not tolerated, not politely wanted, desired. Research consistently shows that a woman's top sexual fantasy is being so attractive to her partner that he can barely contain his desire. This isn't about losing control, it's about feeling irresistible. She doesn't ask for this because it feels vulnerable to admit she needs that level of affirmation. So what does all of this mean? Women's desires are diverse, normal, and far more common than society admits. And science shows that expressing them in a safe, consensual way benefits both mental health and relationships. The real key is psychological safety. Tell her you won't judge her. Ask open-ended questions. Share one of your own fantasies first. Start small and build trust. When she feels safe, she opens up, and that's where real intimacy begins. If this changed the way you think about female desire, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell me what surprised you most. I read every one. Thanks for watching.